Car Crafters, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that could happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like a
Car Crafters, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that could happen?
No!
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
The Barley Room, proud sponsor of ProView Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry.
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
The service department at Galley Chevrolet is clean, modern, and ready for you. Our master technicians service every make and model, including certified service on any GM vehicle. Service done right the first time, every time, right here at the all-new Galley Chevrolet.
Good morning and welcome to the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Galletti. We've got Alden Iowani as our director, and back here this week is Ed Nunez. We're going to talk a lot of stuff. We'll talk Lobos, we'll talk high school baseball and softball, and get you up to date on the polls. We'll bring in Ed Nunez, and I'll tell you what, it's that time of year, Ed, where things start to wind down in terms of the school year, and the baseball season really heating up.
We got Rio Rancho Volcano Vista this afternoon. What a game that will be. And I'm sure that it's not going to be the last time they see each other. Kevin Andrus, the head coach of Volcano Vista, has been there many years. Ron Murphy, the Rio Rancho legend, the former St. Pius coach. I went to UNM with Coach Murphy. So that's always a great matchup. And I think today's weather should be okay without the wind is what I mean, because when it's windy like that, it's tough for everybody. But that's a matchup that I kind of got my eye on. And, it's one game, right? It doesn't define a season, but it kind of looking forward to the state tournament next month. It's certainly when those two teams get together and they're West Side rivals, all the power, it seems, has shifted in all sports really to the West Side. That's something that some guy asked me on the radio the other day, how come Highland isn't as good as they once were? Well, I tried to explain it's redistricting, right. It's boundaries.
Right.
And then he says, well, I don't know about that. It's like, I'm sorry you didn't like the answer, but that's the truth.
Right.
So, again, that's one game that I really, Kevin Andrus spent some time in the Pittsburgh Pirates organization as a pitcher. I used to play a little basketball. I love Kevin. He's a good dude, man. Coach Murphy went to college. I told you, I went to UNM with him. Great guy as well. And how many victories does he have? Over 500, I believe, Coach Murphy. They seem to always have the hitters, the pitchers, and when they play Cleveland, that's another great matchup. Cleveland won the tournament about a month ago, and gosh, I looked at their celebration, and they were acting like, man, it was the state tournament championship. And again, when you beat your rival like that, they're just down the street.
Right.
It means something. Those guys hang out together and play club ball together. So today's matchup, again, I'm looking forward to seeing that. It doesn't define the season, but it certainly gives you kind of a preview of what's going to happen as far as the state tournament, which we mentioned is just a couple weeks away.
Yeah, Cleveland won that tournament. Of course, Rio Rancho won the Sal Puentes tournament after La Cueva got a 15 spot in the 6th inning to beat Cleveland. So, you know, weird things have happened here. But the one thing that you were talking about, the shift of power to the west, well, the shift of power also, and Adam Deal and I were joking about this last week, you know, basketball, a lot of the games on ProView, and now baseball, a lot of the games on ProView are District 1. You know, radio games as well were District 1. Why? Because District 1 has perhaps the best teams. In baseball, that seems to really be the case where District 1 is just dominating.
Well, think about it.
On the 5A level.
Right. The Trisco Heritage Jaguars might be left out of the baseball conversation, but you've got Rio Rancho, Cleveland, and Volcano Vista. You know, they've Coach Schellenberger does a great job over there at Cleveland for a long time. And District 1 dominated in basketball, and you had the Trisco, Cleveland, Rio Rancho, Volcano Vista. They seem to be playing each other every night. And what wars they were, what district wars they had, and then the Trisco Heritage winning the back-to-back championship. Adrian Ortega saying we're not done yet. He came close to almost saying, I guarantee we're going to win another one. Now, you don't do that at the high school level, right? But him saying that, you know, in basketball, that we're not done yet, and when he's got Ramos and, you know, Josiah Ramos and Dominic Rivas coming back, I might say the same thing, that we're not done yet either. And so that District 1, you're absolutely right. Even in football, if you go to football, they've had some good, you know, Volcano Vista may be a little bit behind Rio Rancho and Cleveland. Rio Rancho a little bit behind Cleveland. Last couple of years, Coach House, who does a great job there, didn't have the horses, right? He had a heck of a good season near the end of the year, though. They really put some fear into some people. Cleveland, you know, with Heath Ridenauer and the facilities, and when I go out there, and I've told you this before, it's who wouldn't want to play there?
Right.
I mean, it's a desolate, right? There's not a lot of things that surround it right now, but I'm thinking in the next couple of years, there's going to be land, businesses out there, I'm sure. So when I go out there and I hear the cannon, and God, this cannon still scares me, man. Yeah,
I'll tell you, the only bad thing about Cleveland and even Rio Rancho on the baseball side is the wind.
Right.
If it weren't for that, it would be perfect. The
Look at
facilities are awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, the facilities are off the chart. You can compare those facilities to pretty much anywhere in the country.
Look at Rio Rancho's baseball field. Man, I love that field. Gosh, and then at night, under the lights, I love to call games out there under the lights, man. I really do. They take Ron Murphy and...
I send pictures of that field, especially I took a couple of photos when I was out at the Sal Puentes a couple of weeks ago, sent them to former co-workers and everything, and they're all, that's a high school field?
Yeah. You know what? That's a good point. They do such a great job of taking care of that field, manicuring it. You're right. It looks like a big league field.
And these are people in L.A. who are used to, you know, nice things, and they're looking at that, and they're all, that's a high school field in New Mexico?
Right. That's a great field. Cleveland's got great facilities as well.
Cleveland does also, yeah.
Volcano Vista, you know, maybe not as nice a field, but still great facilities. They're a little bit older than both. Well, Rio Rancho is actually older than Volcano Vista, but still, they have great facilities. Look at Rio Rancho's football field.
Right.
I mean, I love that. I love, you know, their basketball gymnasium. So they do have great facilities, and I think as a young player growing up, if you're in that program, that feeder program, you get the you get the feel of that right away. I see these young kids when I'm at the Cleveland, calling a game at Cleveland. They've got the Storm shirts and the Storm jerseys. They're already getting a taste of that.
Right.
So I remember growing up in the Pius program when my brother played for Pius. Then I went to Highland, and I remember, you know, wearing Pius stuff when my brother played and feeling that pride because my brother played, right? I wanted to be just like him. So I think those kids get the same feeling. And again, when you're on the west side, it's tough. Back in the day, now it's hard to explain this to people, the guy that asked on the radio, Highland got all the kids from the base, right?
Right.
All due respect to Coach Gentry, a legend, Coach Henry Sanchez, the track coach, Coach Gary Sanchez, legends. But the people, those athletes they got on the base, my goodness, man. I told Gary this, and I joke with Gary, who I like a lot. I said, Gary, man, those guys, you should have seen the athlete, the quality of athlete. Now, those athletes can go wherever they want.
Yeah.
And right now they're not going to Highland. You know, Highland had
Which
a great.
is sad.
Yes, Highland had a great year.
And here's the thing, real quick. what's sad about that is all the repairs and all the renovations that have been done to these schools. It's not like the schools in those areas are just depleted. They're nice.
I think that's a good point. You know, Highland's going under renovation.
You look at
right
Highland, you look at schools like Del Norte, even Rio Grande. I mean, a lot of renovations.
Valley?
Yeah, Valley.
Valley went a nice renovation. And think about, I said this on radio the other
And
day.
of course, Albuquerque High, they had renovations as well.
Not such an older school that Valley and Highland is, but yes, they did. One of the things that Valley, think about it, Coach Coleman didn't really want to go down to 4A. He wanted to stay with 5A and compete with the big boys. But look at what he did in his first year at the 4A classification. Won a blue, man. Won a blue trophy.
Right.
And people didn't think, I didn't. I thought Hope was the champion.
Right.
And you know what? They got the job done. They did.
Right.
So, but I think going back to that, Highland had a good year in boys basketball and girls basketball. Coach Woody did a great job with the boys program. Coach Lonnie Neal did a great job with the girls program. But it's hard when you don't have the same thing with Coach Holzman back in the day. He won 7 titles. You know, and back in the day, oh my gosh, they had some players. And I know because I played against them and I coached against them and I refereed a lot of their games. They had athletes that you wouldn't believe. And districts change, boundaries change. So that's why I couldn't understand how that guy didn't understand that. Things aren't the same as they were 40 years ago. Look at the changes that we just mentioned on the west side and who's the powers now. Although Manzano snuck through to win a football championship 2 years ago, right? Or almost 2 years ago.
Another school has had a lot of renovations.
Right.
Brand new gym.
Look at their El Dorado's probably around. Well, El Dorado got a new floor a couple years ago. Their floor flooded. You're thinking they're probably around the corner. You know, what they did to Del Norte? Hey, Del Norte had a solid season this year under
You
Jaron
drive by
McIntosh.
Del Norte, it looks almost like a college campus.
You
I
know
mean,
what?
compared to what it was when I first moved to town almost 11 years ago, it was just before the renovations. I think they started renovating it that year or the year after. And I remember what it looked like before and what it looks like now, not even close.
You know, if you think about it, when La Cueva was built, they lost a lot of enrollment to La Cueva in 1986. So I'm glad for Del Norte. I'm glad for Highland. I'm glad for Valley that they've got these new facilities. Remember, these neighborhoods, the other thing, are changing, right? There's not as many kids in the Valley neighborhood or parents moving in with kids. It's an older neighborhood.
Right.
You know, they're going to move to the newer side, the houses, and you know where they can get more bang for the buck as far as the houses. They're going to take the kids there. The kids are going to enroll in those schools. What do you think is going to happen? That's what changes. That's what's changed.
Yeah, well, that's why we always talk about numbers, because you just delved into the numbers. The better kids, athletes-wise, their parents will say, hey, let's go to this school. And next thing you know, the rich get richer, and the poorer schools get poorer because the kids that they had, you know, it's up to the parents, and you can't blame the parents. It's just what happens.
I talked to a person from Cleveland. Now, Sean Jimenez lost a lot, right? Lost Muhammad, lost Nunn, lost Terry, lost Nakai Smith, lost a lot. But, hey, around the corner, people are going to say, I'm moving in here, right? I mean, he doesn't recruit. Coach Jimenez, I'm sure he doesn't do that. He doesn't have to. When people move in here, they're going to be like, well, where's our choices?
Go drive by the school and see if you want to go there.
Right.
Like I said, when the worst part about the school is the wind, you know, you got yourself a good situation.
Yeah, you got a football field on campus, right? Mm-hmm. How many uniforms they have? 5, 6 uniforms? I'm just kidding.
Oh, they hate when you talk about that.
They do though. They look. Yeah. I love their powder blue. You know, look. I'm a fan, man.
They have blue. They have powder
Whites.
blue. They have white.
Look, I'm a fan. So I'm just saying I like the color, like when the Chargers wear their powder blues.
Right.
Okay. They've got the uniform. It looks good. I'm not criticizing. They've got the coaches. They've got the resources they need to succeed. So that's not a knock. I'm just saying if kids, you know, come in and they have a choice, and then they go to Cleveland, they go to, you know, they're going to go to the school, and they hear about it, they're like, well, hey, we have a chance, and it's all about being seen now, right? Too, if you're an athlete and you're a top-notch athlete, where am I going to be seen at? And that's an advantage for those 4 schools. I'm not saying they're going to get all of those athletes, because they won't, but they're going to get their share of them.
Let me ask you, Ed, before we go to break. When I was going to school, my high school had exact North Carolina colors. Then they turned to USC colors when another school merged with them, so they decided, well, we're going to be neutral from what either school had before. We're going to go to USC, Cardinal and Gold. But they had North Carolina covers. When I was growing up, I wanted to wear that uniform. How were you in terms of, you mentioned your brother was St. Pius, but did you look at the uniform at Highland and say, hey, I want to wear one of those one of these days?
You're going to laugh. I think every uniform that I ever had, and that includes when I was at Holy Ghost, school. You know, you put it on, man, you put the trunks on, which were real short then, right? They weren't shorts, they were trunks.
Right.
So yes, I did. And then when I went to Pius, I saw my brother, he wore number 40 for St. Pius. I wore number 40. I was 50 for Pius, but when I went to Highland, I was number 40. They had some real cool color combinations at Highland when I went there. Some crazy sweatpants. Of course, I got in front of the mirror. Of course you did. Anybody says they didn't, they're lying.
Right.
Of course, you wanted to wear that. For my brother for black and gold, now blue and gold. I'm blue and gold till I die, man.
Right.
That's my school.
Well, my
yeah.
point is, you look at a kid that's looking at Cleveland and they got like 4 different uniforms. I want to wear that.
Look, okay.
Just the uniform will get you in there.
Let's think about Oregon, right? Oregon has how many color combinations? 7, 8?
Oh, at least.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you don't think that the kids now, no criticism here, Cleveland, I love you, you love them too. But if I'm in the stands, I'm like, dang, man, look at that. I like their dark blue uniforms too. I like them all. So yes, that does help. Of course it does.
We'll take a break and we will talk more here on the Sports Desk.
It's going to be Romello, and Jason with the lead block, and it's a touchdown. And
Pitch by Campbell as Schallenberger, the righty, waits, takes a first pitch swing and pops it up, and it is to deep right. Is it fair? If it is, it's gone, and it is! And so a first pitch swing, and Treston Schallenberger makes it 1-0. And Tom, maybe the assistance of a bit of wind kind of dragging out to right field, but it hung and hung.
Yeah, because it kind of looked like just an ordinary pop-up, but he got it so high. This wind is really howling.
blocked again, and this time Serta. Right to Bowers. In motion. They're going to fake it on the other side. Puerto Rico going deep. Dello Davis, touchdown! Play clock down to 3. Puerto Rico. Back to Cedric Johnson, touchdown! Vermonte's pretty excited about that. Floyd gonna let one fly, and then there's an INT for Griggs. Freddie on the near side, he scoots past Coach Vermonte in for the touchdown. There, a fan made split the uprights as Dello Davis coughs it up at the goal line. He'll pick it up. Davis high stepping up the middle. Davis all the way. He's got the kicker to beat, and he's going to beat him easily. It's a touchdown for Dello Davis.
Have evened it up at 4 after a pass ball. And this one is belted to deep right, back at the wall, and it's a walk-off. A 3-run shot. How about it? Brian Curran takes it deep right, and a walk-off win, 7-4. Car Crafters, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
High school sports are back. The 2018-19 season kicks off, and you could watch every ProView Network broadcast live on the NFHS network. Every moment, from every game, from every sport, including all NMAA state championships. Get your highly discounted monthly pass now. Go to ProViewNetworks.com and sign up. Watch New Mexico's best.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
We are back here on the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Galletti, along with Ed Nunez, Alden Iowani, our fine producer-director. We've got Jason Poole, Josh Brown in the house. They are part of the, what do they call it, the Crew in the Zoo?
Crew in the Zoo.
Crew in the Zoo, okay.
They've been doing a great job on the rundown. I've been watching that a little bit, and Josh Brown's got the host, and Alden Iowani was at the Masters yesterday in the lounge. He's got a new place to be.
He's always somewhere, yeah.
Monday and Wednesday, Jay Pohl throws in some stuff too. Yeah, he always makes it back in time. So I think they've done a great job in being. You know what? I think the thing is, I'm glad to see them get a shot. Because they're very talented young men, very talented.
They really are.
So when I see it, I got a big smile, man, because those
creative is the word. Also very creative.
I was watching some graphics from years ago, and just where they've come and where they're going. Every day they surprise us, man, and it's good to see Josh Brown and get a shot in hosting, and Alden and Jay Pohl and Josh Luna all be a part of that. That's their show, And Adam, of course, is the host. When he's not there, though, they fill in quite admirably. I always laugh, man, because they're having fun with it. They're doing their job. But it's fun, and that's what we do. They can their personalities really come out. So I'm enjoying watching that.
Let's take a look. We saw the top 10 plays. Some of the plays you're about to see again. Let's take a look at the highlights of the Volcano Vista Cleveland game. Ended up being a walk-off home run by Volcano Vista to win that game. But we'll take a look at the highlights here. And it happened on a very windy day at Volcano Vista.
80 degrees last Tuesday. A warm wind, but windy nonetheless. And Cleveland leading going into that last inning. And then, wow, Volcano Vista rallied.
Well, the thing about the wind on the west side, it's swirling, so you never know what direction the ball. I've done a couple of games here on ProView on Comcast 26 from Volcano Vista, and you never know where the ball is going to go. It's not like Lobo Field, Santa Ana Star Field, where you can say, oh, it's going out the right, it's going out the left. It's going, but you don't know where it's going.
No, it's kind of funny because I've heard you and Robert Portnoy talk about where the winds are going because you got this one here you can't predict.
No, because it's just swirling, so it's going anywhere, and and it's the toughest part for the pitcher. But very offensive-oriented game, even though it wasn't a high-scoring game, but. In this particular case, balls were going out the right field.
There's a Cleveland home run right there. I think that's a solo shot there. I don't see anybody else crossing it. Oh, first pitch. First pitch of the game. I read that in the paper. I'm like, gosh, he didn't wait for, to take a pitch. First pitch of the game, home run.
Yeah, and it was an opposite field shot to boot, and there goes another one to right field. So right center field, that was the place to go. It wasn't a home run, but it traveled far, and that would get a run across to tie the game at 1.
No, what again? When these two teams battle, man, they really go at it.
Yeah, very evenly matched teams, and you know, you hate when a wild pitch scores a run, but it happens quite often, both on the high school and on the collegiate front.
Oh yeah, pro level as well. So yeah, you're right. It was a nice bender there, but a good hit.
And then it went out to left field this time. It was a double that one hopped the wall, and that tied the game. And you know, it was one of those back and forth. And look at those unis.
Love them.
We were talking about the multiple uniforms. And there was a nice play at the plate, and you know, that was a huge play.
It sure was. Oh, nice.
And there
nice
was a
throw
put
from
out.
The catcher there. So they didn't score, right? Didn't score.
Yeah, so they ended up not scoring, so that was a huge put out, and then a little dunker in the center field, and that would make it 3-2 Cleveland.
Right. They're going back and forth here.
And Cleveland with a little comebacker through the middle, and it would be just in time. So saw a lot of good defense in this game.
Yeah, really close. There's Kevin Andrish right out there. What a great guy. And there's another pass ball, I believe, right? They score that as a pass ball, I think. Sometimes you have to go to the scorer. For those, you never know.
Right. So there was a rare strikeout throw him out where
Beautiful
it wasn't
throw.
a steal, it was a pickoff at second.
That's a beautiful throw.
Yeah, it was. It was an outstanding throw, and this one was a homer to right. And the trend of this game, and it's not always the trend at Volcano, but the trend of this game was the wind blown out to right.
Right. And we saw, like you mentioned, the first home run of the game to right field. He
just sailed.
Right.
So the celebration was on, and here in the bottom of the 7th inning, there was a single, and this would tie the game. And then you had runners at second and third. Actually, this one would tie the game. So the wild pitch ties the game. So that would make it 4-4. And then, boom, this is Brian Karam with the 3-run homer, a walk-off to end the game.
I'll tell you what, man. I loved Richard Tripp had a walk-off in New Mexico Highlands a couple weeks. You love walk-offs. Because then there comes the team, and they're going to jump up and down and look at Coach Andrish. And, again, a win against your district rival. Man, the party's on at home plate right there, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was the final score there. 7-4 would be the final score in favor of Volcano Vista. So now we'll take a look at the polls this week, and we'll start with softball first, Ed, as we normally do, and we'll look at A1A, Loving, Eunice, Santa Rosa, Jal, and Lordsburg. Pretty much no change, top 5.
Loving's been number 1, I believe, for most of the year, so followed by Eunice. So I'll tell you what, some good softball being played in the smaller schools there.
I've noticed sometimes in between 3 and 7, there's been kind of wavering back and forth, but it's pretty the same from last week.
Yes, sir.
But the top part has been the same all season long since we've been doing them. Let's go now to 3A. And again, 3A, you got 2 La Rosa on top, Santa Fe Indian, Robertson, West Las Vegas, Cobre. Of all the divisions in softball, this one had the biggest change.
Robertson was number 1, right?
Yes. Yeah, the whole top 5 pretty much kind of moved around. So, and West Las Vegas moved up into 4, and it's been a lot of fluctuation on that one.
You know what? I told you, Robertson, remember, they had a great volleyball team. They won the championship in basketball, girls. Now look at them in softball. They've got some tremendous athletes out there at Las Vegas Robertson.
Take a look now at 4A, and you see Artesia on top, Los Lunas, Silver, Aztec, Bernalillo, the top 5.
Ortiz has been, I believe, number 1 for most of the year, and give the Los Lunas girls credit as well, having a great basketball season. Earlier in the year, they won the state championship for the 2nd consecutive year under Marty Zeller, and they're number 2 in 4A softball.
And a look at 5A. On the softball front, Rio Rancho, Volcano, Carlsbad, Centennial, and Cibola.
We mentioned Rio Rancho right there, Volcano Vista number 2. They played earlier in the year, I believe Rio Rancho won that one, and they'll play again. Piedra Vista, perennial power, stuck at number 8, but they're in the top 10. So, okay, our producer Alden Iwani says Cibola plays Volcano Vista. That's number 2 versus number 5. So we might glean something from that after that game's over.
Take a look at baseball now. As we will start off on the baseball front, and we will go with 2A. And you got Eunice, Texaco, Estancia, Mora, Santa Rosa.
Eunice, again, Texaco and Eunice right there, number 1. Number 2, Mora had a good season last year. They're in the state tournament. I remember doing some PA games with them involved. Santa Rosa at number 5. So some good look there at 2A baseball.
Moving up to 3A. Robertson, Santa Fe Indian, East Mountain, Nimmie, and West Las Vegas.
Same thing with Robertson. You know, they had some success. They went to the championship in football. They went to the state tournament in basketball, lost in the quarters, and here they are ranked number 1 in 3A baseball. And where's their crosstown rival ranked at number 5? So they're not too far off of the pace there to the number 1. Dexter always has some good athletes out there as well, number 10.
4A in baseball, NMOT coaches pool. St. Pius, Goddard, Artesia, Los Lunas, and Aztec.
Pius has played really well. Grant Smith, one of their infielders, the grandson of former St. Pius basketball coach Bill Duffy. He's going to New Mexico State on a scholarship. He's had a great season. So Pius has remained number 1 pretty much the whole year there. So they've been on top.
And finally, let's go to 5A, and you look at 5A on the baseball front. You got Rio Rancho, Volcano, Centennial, Cleveland moving down to number 4. Rio Grande is number 5.
Don't sleep on, so your counterparts, you were out. They had him on 101.7, Orlando Griego, your sports show on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Sam's last name, I don't know what Sam's last name,
Hauser.
Sam Hauser and James Yotis interviewed Orlando Griego. And it was a great interview. I've known Orlando for years, and they asked him a question, what was your thoughts when he got drafted by Milwaukee, man, years ago? And it was a great story because he'd been cut at Rio Grande. He had been cut at New Mexico Highlands. And so he saw his locker with his gear in it, and he said he wanted to just take a moment to savor it. And I thought it was a great story. I really thought it was. You know what? Their team this year, they've got 3 college-bound kids. Do not sleep on the Rio Grande Ravens. It's been a while, I believe, since they've played for a championship. I don't know if he has a championship. I thought he did, maybe not. But I'll tell you, the one thing about him, when I think about Orlando Griego, well, I'd love to have him in studio. He's a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think about him and his commitment, not just to the Rio Grande baseball team, but to the South Valley in general. And his whole family comes from the South Valley and what they've done there for that community.
Another team, although talking with James Yotis, the pitching and everything else isn't quite there, but you look at La Cueva at number 6, I would say don't sleep on them either.
Well, any team that can come and give you a 15 2-out rally, 15-run, 2-out rally, heck no, don't. And you know what? Gerard Pineda has been around for a long time, and nobody scouts more, nobody knows the game more than he does. So I believe you're absolutely right. They're a dangerous team.
And remember, when you look up north, you got Piedra Vista and Farmington, 2 dangerous teams.
Right there from the the same area. So yeah, they'll go at it. And Farmington, the Scorpions, I thought they won the did they win the championship a couple years? Maybe it wasn't them. I thought it was.
No, I think they won the championship last year, and I think it was 5A because there was a 6A last year.
That's right. So they did win the 5. I remember them celebrating with those green uniforms.
Yeah, they won it last year. I believe it was 5A that they won.
You know what? They're a dangerous team.
And La Cueva won the 6A.
Oh, La Cueva, man. Again, you're right. Don't go to sleep on them. They certainly got the bats. I don't know about the pitching, but Gerard Pineda is an excellent coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's look at some other highlights here that I forgot that we had. Alden Iowani reminding us, Cleveland Rio Rancho. And this was another great game and another tough loss for the Cleveland Storm.
Yes, it was. Look at that field, man. It's safe there.
You know, Adam Deal before the show was talking about, well, you look at Cleveland's record, it's kind of like basketball where they lose so many close games. You know,
right.
One-run games, just like the Storm's basketball team during the regular season won lost a lot of 1-2 point games.
About 3 or 4 of them down the stretch.
And overtime games.
And
they lost a ton of overtime games. And that is the final out of the game as Rio Rancho would hold them off. How about that? A 2-1 ball game. That's what I like. It was 7-4, but it took a 3-run walk-off for Volcano Vista to make it a 7-4 game. And then you got the low-scoring game in this one. When pitching, teams bear down with the pitching, outstanding head-to-head competition.
Oh, you got to love it. I mean, when you've got a 2-1 game like that, you know someone's pitching a very good game and you know, good defense behind them, because defense is very key too. You can lose a game on an error, a pass ball, or something like that. So yeah, great team ball there by Rio Rancho in eking out a very close victory over the Storm.
All right, let's step aside. We will take a break here, and we'll come right back with more on the Sports Desk.
Talk to State Farm agent Greg Shamus today.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at ProView Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Dreamstyle Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dreamstyle Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dreamstyle Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club, or DreamstyleRemodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
The Barley Room, a proud sponsor of ProView Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you.
The service department at Galley Chevrolet is clean, modern, and ready for you. Our master technicians service every make and model, including certified service on any GM vehicle. Service done right the first time, every time, right here at the all-new Galley Chevrolet.
We are back here on the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Coletti along with Ed Nunez, Alden Iowani, our fine director, keeping the show floating here. And right now we're going to do something that we don't always do here, Ed, as it's playoff time in the NBA. The biggest postseason falter in terms of leads happened last night. We're filming here on Tuesday live and you can also watch it on replay on YouTube and all the different channels, Facebook Live. But the Clippers and the Golden State Warriors, defending champs, Warriors are up by 31 points, and you think, oh, this game is over, and it was the biggest comeback in playoff history in the NBA.
I'll tell you what, I watched the game Sunday, or Saturday. I watched the game Saturday. I'm a Laker fan, you know that. But I love playoff ball. I love playoff ball. So I was watching last night, and I told my wife, when the Clippers are down, I'm going to bed, man. This game's over. And I wake up this morning, and it says Clippers come back, and I'm like, it's not April Fool's, so they did come back. I couldn't believe it. I'll tell you one thing. Now, Doc Rivers is a veteran NBA coach and one of the best. There's no doubt. They're not as talented as the Warriors, right?
Not even close.
Right, but you know what?
Although they're not a bad team in terms of the LA teams, they're the better team right now, talent-wise.
Right.
But there's not a lot of teams that are close to the Warriors, and they're not one of them.
No, that's true, but Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, Patrick Beverly. Patrick Beverly's as tough as any guy there is. Now, someone tried to compare him to Vernon Maxwell, and there's no comparison there because Maxwell had offensive game as well.
Right.
But Beverly,
he had a real good offensive game.
Mad Max. Right. The guy was
He didn't just have an offensive game. He had a good offensive
Vernon Maxwell
game.
was a good player.
Yeah.
But you know what? Patrick Beverly has kind of set the tone for this team. We're not backing down. You know, he got thrown out on Saturday. You know, they threw out him and Durant. And then you got Boogie Cousins hurting his quad. Now, Cousins had played well, right? He's played very well. Maybe he's still not in the best shape because of that Achilles. And he went down, you know, they said this morning, they think he might be out for the whole, you know, the whole rest of the playoff series, however long that lasts. They did sign Andrew Bogut, which was a good move. He was playing in Australia. He's still in shape. He knows the Warriors system. Steven Jackson tried to say this morning on First Things First that Bogut is, you know, as athletic as Boogie Cousins. Let's be serious. He's not. He's a good screen setter. He'll get the rebound. He'll roll to the basket. He's not Boogie Cousins, okay? So I don't even know why Steven Jackson said that. There's no comparison. But he's not a bad guy to have around, right? He knows the system. But I think they got a little bit complacent. I mean, Saturday when they won, my wife and I were watching at the restaurant. What can you do when Curry has 38 points, 15 rebounds, 7 dimes? When they're playing downhill like that, there's no team that's going to stop them. Last night they got to, you know what though, the Clippers, what the LA Clippers did, and they said, look, they punched them in the mouth. We're not afraid. We didn't back down. They don't fear the Warriors. The Warriors should still win that series. But keep an eye on the Clippers this summer. They've got 2 max slots. Now that has to play well to free agents to be Kawhi Leonard, some other big Kyrie Irving. They have to look at that and say, hey, look, these guys play hard. It's an attractive. Plus, you got Jerry West there.
Right.
So Doc Rivers, and you were wondering, people were kind of wondering, right? Why were they celebrating so much when they got in the playoffs? Doc Rivers sees something that they're building here. Remember this too. They used to be the Buffalo Braves in the Eastern Conference. Moved, you know, with the San Diego Clippers. They've never been to an Eastern Conference final or a Western Conference final in their franchise history. They won't this year either. They won't. But think about the teams that they had, Scott, when they had the LA Clippers with Chris Paul and Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. They, you know, this team here that they have now might have more grit than that team. Not talent, but as far as grit, this is, you know what, you love to see the underdog, right? Now, again, I'm a Laker fan, but I love to watch playoff ball.
Right.
Lou Williams might be one of the craftiest scorers that we've ever seen.
Right. No, that's a good point. And being that I was in LA over the weekend doing University of Hawaii baseball at UC Riverside, I was listening to a ton of LA radio. What do you think the biggest story was?
Magic. Lakers.
Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson leaves. And leaves basically with nobody, and I mean nobody, knowing that it was going to happen. Jeannie Buss didn't know, nobody from management knew, nobody in the media knew. It was just kind of a blindside. Well, it's the first time I've ever heard in my life people on talk shows and such calling Magic Johnson a quitter. That's, you never, you know, I said this on Jim Villanucci's show last night on ESPN Radio 101.7 The Team. You never hear the Q word when it comes to Magic Johnson. People calling him a quitter. Well, I also learned, because, you know, he was the initial guy who wanted to let go of Luke Walton. And he had a conversation with Jeannie Buss, and it came down to, well, I'm not going to do it, you do it, meaning Magic Johnson, kind of leaving it to him, kind of saying, okay, it's up to you, you know, you're in charge, you're the player personnel, you're the head of, you know, the basketball operations, but I'm not going to make that move. You know, it's going to be all on you. And it turns out, I forget the gentleman's name who is also running the show with the Lakers.
Pelinka, Rob Pelinka.
Pelinka, that's it, Rob Pelinka. Turns out, I did not know this, Magic Johnson wanted to let him go. He was blocked at the pass. So the impression that I got from listening to people, it wasn't so much, oh, I couldn't get rid of Luke Walton. It was Pelinka who was kind of the roadblock. So that's the reason why he left.
Okay, you know, I've heard that too now. You know, I'm a long time.
I hadn't heard that until I was listening to them. I mean, they dissected, you know, whole shows. I mean, entire shows were dedicated to this on every station. So I'm listening to this, and we had just talked about it on the radio the day before when I was doing Jim's show, and you know, I'm listening to the next day, the aftermath, and you know, I'm thinking, oh, that's why, because I didn't realize that it was Pelinka.
Right. I'm a Laker fan since '72. You know how long I've been a Laker fan, and I think the way it happened, Magic's my favorite Laker of all time. I mean, there's legendary.
You just so
Lakers.
happened to become a Laker fan the year of the 33-game winning
No,
streak.
yeah, well, yeah, that's true. But I was a fan in
1972.
'71, and you know, I remember watching little games with that. But remember, they had some bad years after that 33-game winning streak, which, by the way,
the late 70s, they had horrible seasons.
yes, they did. And by the way, that 33-game win streak, think about it, done in a time with travel, you know, they traveled by coach. That was an amazing streak.
Think about this.
We'll get
the mid to late 70s, they had Kareem and they had horrible seasons.
They didn't have a great cast around. It
I
wasn't
know.
until Magic Johnson came. But let me get back to Magic. I think the thing that bothered me the most as a longtime Laker fan, I've read books, you know, the whole thing. I follow them very closely, was the way it happened. Now, he tells Jeannie Buss, they have a meeting. Then he goes to the press and says, I'm not going to go tell her because I'm scared that she'll talk me out of it. This is a guy that Jerry Buss, Dr. Jerry Buss, when he owned the Lakers, took him under his wing. Took him under his wing like a second son.
Right.
He said, Jeannie Buss is like a sister to me. And you don't go tell you, I'd have to tell you anyway. You may not like it, but I got to tell you to your face. If we're that kind of, you know, we have that kind of closeness. So the way it went down, and look, I'm Magic's biggest fan. Plus, this is an iconic Laker like West. I expected more, right? I'm not saying he's going to turn him around, but some of the moves he made, okay, he did sign LeBron. They're not going to be as bad as people think because all the negativity, it's all piling on. They still got LeBron, Kuzma, Ball, Ingram. I still think they're going to be okay if they get two. They're not going to get probably KD or Irving. If they get maybe a Kemba Walker and maybe a Cousins, depending on how hurt he is, they're not going to be horrible as bad as people think. They're piling on right now. But for me as a Laker fan, seeing the way it went down, I had a problem with it. I had a real problem. Because look,
everybody in LA has a problem with it, but when you dissect it and what really happened and what the reasons were, that's where you get the people saying, oh no, it was this way, no, it was this way. And then when I heard about Magic unable to get rid of Rob Pelinka, it's Rob, right?
Rob.
Okay, Rob Pelinka, you know, I'm thinking, oh, I thought it was all about Luke Walton, who, by the way, Luke Walton is let go, and 2 days later he's with the Sacramento Kings.
Didn't have
The biggest joke in LA was, you know, and you had UCLA getting Mick Cronin after about a 100-day search after they let Steve Alford go in December. And the biggest joke is, how long is it going to take the Lakers to get a head coach now? Because Luke Walton, you know, he's let go, and 2 days later he packed his bags and he's got a gig, and the Lakers are a mess. And I have never heard, and I was part of the LA media for 20 years, and I grew up around the LA media. I've never heard, and I said this to you off the air, I've never heard the LA media rip the Lakers like they're doing so right now. Never.
Some of it's
not even close.
Some of it's deserved, though. If you think.
No, I know, but still, I mean,
Yeah,
even when it was deserved in the past, it was kind of hush hush and kind of looking at more. Oh, the Lakers are going to bounce back, which they did. And now you look at it and it's like, what the heck they're going to do?
They still will. They still bounce back. But I want you to think about this. Since 2012, and I remember this, when supposedly it was going to be Phil Jackson who was going to be the coach, then it was Mike D'Antoni. And that was still Dr. Buss. He was still alive. They named Mike D'Antoni the coach. Since 2012, it's been downhill. They tried Byron Scott. That didn't work out. They tried some other coaches that didn't work out. They tried Mike Brown. That didn't work out. D'Antoni didn't work out. Luke Walton didn't work out. This is a franchise, again, that's won 16. They're used to having things. Just because you put that Laker jersey on doesn't, and this is coming from a Laker fan, doesn't mean you're guaranteed success. It doesn't mean that. And that hurts to say that, right?
Right.
But people say this is the Lakers. Why did Magic do that? And people don't, and then it's ratings. People are going to call in and give their take about why Magic did it, and they're going to keep that going for a number of months until. And I'm hoping this, as a Laker fan, I'm hoping the coach is Monty Williams. I like Monty Williams. I like Tyronn Lue, but if it's Lue, then people are going to say, well, LeBron runs the ship here. So I'm hoping it's Monty Williams.
We'll step aside. One more break. One more segment coming up here on the Sports Desk.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a #1. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
High school sports are back. The 2018-19 season kicks off, and you could watch every ProView Network broadcast live on the NFHS network. Every moment, from every game, from every sport, including all NMAA state championships. Get your highly discounted monthly pass now. Go to ProViewNetworks.com and sign up. Watch New Mexico's best.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
And we're back here on the Sports Desk. Scott Galati along with Ed Nunez. Alton Iowani, as always, our fine producer-director. A bit of news also that happened. It was a busy week in news. A lot of news coming quickly. And it was kind of interesting because Steve Alford, fired at UCLA, had a huge buyout. And I guess he and his agent figured out a way to kind of circumvent the buyout and not lose much of that money because he ended up taking a $300,000 base at Nevada.
$300,000.
Yeah, a year, instead of $3 million. So, which means he's still going to be. He's still going to be. It's over 10 years. So, I mean, the contract is base, and I think it goes up after year 3 up to like $800,000. But I mean, the base is at least $3 million over 10 years. But the fact is, because of that deal, he doesn't lose a lot of his buyout that he had at UCLA because they just subtract a little bit and he's in. And I've told people, Nevada, they call it the biggest little city on earth. And it's kind of funny because it's not Vegas, but Reno is actually kind of a nice town. And they've got decent facilities, and they put a lot of money into the Lawler Event Center, which actually has always been one of my favorite round arenas. And they put a good chunk of money in when I was still at UNM. I got to see it renovated, and I think they put a little more money into it when Musselman was there. But it's kind of funny because the thing that people don't realize, they can recruit from California, much like Alford loved to do here. He got a lot of his players. You look at Kendall Williams, you look at Drew Gordon, where did they come from? They came from the LA area. Well, Nevada is a little technically closer to LA than Albuquerque is, and more people know about Reno than they know about Albuquerque.
It's good to have him back in the conference. I think I'm thinking of the reaction when he comes here. Again, he Lobo, Lobo for life, right? He, again, UCLA came calling.
Lobo for life until they don't let you be anymore.
Right. And you can look at it two ways. You can say, yeah, I get that. I do understand that. But remember, UCLA, at the time, I don't think anybody could begrudge him for taking that job. It's a prestigious job.
It was one of 5 or 6 jobs that he flat out said that he would take. And unknown fact, a certain school that I know of offered him. He declined the job. $1 million more for those who say that he went for the money. And that's not publicized, but I know it because I know the person that was going to write the contract. Mm-hmm. And they were, for lack of a better word, pissed that he would go to UCLA.
At that time.
At that time.
I think, for Lobo fans, again.
Because he turned that job down before the loss to Harvard.
Which people don't know about. They don't know about that. 30-5 seasons, don't grow on trees. He had a 30-5 season here. Great success, no doubt. I just think that when the way he left, and again, the way they lost to Harvard, not all his faults, it left a bad taste in a lot of Lobo fans' mouth. You ask why people sometimes.
Well, you also had a player that was leaving to go to the NBA.
I know.
So, I mean, how many people checked out?
No, I know that. I get all that. And I'm saying, look, he's the most successful coach that we've had here. I'll say that.
Right.
I'm just saying, personality-wise, there's a lot of people that didn't forget how they were treated. I'm just saying, the guy, to me, was a little bit arrogant. They even said this in the column when he got dismissed at UCLA.
I got news for you. Mike Krzyzewski is arrogant.
Yeah, just hang on. Let me finish. They said this, that his aloofness didn't play well with the UCLA
Right.
boosters.
Right.
Krzyzewski has how many rings? Krzyzewski can do that. Steve Alford is not Mike Krzyzewski now. He's a fine coach.
The UCLA boosters are aloof.
No, I understand that.
That's the funniest thing
I'm just
about
saying,
that.
Coach Alford was I never said he wasn't a great coach. He was.
Right.
I'm just saying there's a lot of people that didn't like that here. Now, was he great? Yes, he was. Will he be great at Nevada? We'll see. But I'm telling you, I'm a Lobo, so when he comes in here, it's going to be piqued interest when he returns to Dreamstyle Arena. That's just my opinion.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting because he has to do a full rebuild, kind of like what he did when he brought in J.R. Giddens and all those guys when he came here.
Well, actually, Giddings was here when he came.
Well, he was already here. Okay, he turned him into a better player.
No, you know what? And I said this on the radio the other day. J.R. Giddings owes a lot of that to him. He got drafted in the first round by the Celtics at 28, and a lot of that was due to Coach
because
Alford.
he called him to the carpet and said, "Hey, you want to improve? You got to listen to what I'm telling you." And
man, he would undress that guy.
Yeah,
and then put him back in.
But the thing is, to this day, Coach Alford will credit Giddens for what he did to improve.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And look what he did, parlay it into a pretty long career overseas.
Yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing is, at UCLA, he went to 3 Sweet 16s, and I joked about this yesterday. You would get a statue for going to a Sweet 16 here. That's a failure at UCLA because they fired a coach who went to 3 Final Fours.
Ben Howland. So, yes, you're right. He did have great success at UCLA, but it wasn't enough, right? It wasn't enough. And let's see how Mick Cronin does over here. If Coach Musselman from Nevada hadn't had the failures he did, towards the end of the year, he might have been the new UCLA coach. I really believe that.
Right. Although, I can tell you the talk in L.A., his name came up, and they said no chance.
No way, huh?
Yeah, they don't like him in L.A. for some reason. Well, I was surprised because I heard people saying here, oh, yeah, Musselman's going to get UCLA, and I'm listening to people who are talking in L.A. saying, no, cross him off the list.
Something maybe about his personality.
I don't know.
Yeah, the guy's a driven.
I've known the guy ever since I was in the Continental Basketball Association because he was a head coach then.
Of course, his father coached for many years
and
as well.
I know him as well because my first year in the CBA, he was still coaching. So I know both Musselmans extremely well.
Yeah, both of them are lunatics, and I mean that with, you know what I mean.
Well, his dad was
lunatic.
You talk about a guy who had an edge and aloof.
The muscle, they're called
in your face. I mean, that was Bill Musselman, his dad. So absolutely. So closing out here, Ed, your thoughts real quick.
Hey, great show, Scott. I'm glad we covered a lot of different ground. NBA talk was awesome. Let's see how these high school district games play out in preparation for the state tournament next month.
Thanks to Alden Iowani. He's Ed Nunez. I'm Scott Gallotti. Until next week, we'll talk to you on the Sports Desk.